Well, here at the museum, not only do we have a great display of tanks, but we also have other accessories and things that go in tanks. And what you see in front of you is a collection of MG34 and 42 guns and accessories. We'll be showing you a wide range. Plenty of people already show you how they work. We're just going to show you the basics and the accessories that go with them. Well, basically we'll start with the MG34 because this is the main weapon that was used in German armoured fighting vehicles. Obviously MG34, it came into service in 1934, but the problem they had is that it was so finely made, and the receiver that runs from here to here is milled out of one piece of steel, whereas the 42 is all stamped and pressed metal. The amount of time and effort and skilled labour that was required to machine all these parts compared to semi-skilled labour operating presses and stamps and spot welding saved a lot of money and a lot of materials. Actually, the accessories were also changed over time. What we have here is a beautiful little leather crafted battery box. These is for the optical sights that had a battery in them. And you can see this is dated 1937.
And that's Zeiss.
Yeah, Zeiss Jenner. You look at the craftsmanship that went into that just to make a little battery box. And obviously as the war progressed, couldn't keep making things worth so much when they needed to produce more of them. They went to just a little steel, a simple steel one.
That's so different, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Hey.
It amazes me how they did it. You know, you see a lot of leather crafts on all armies, and it's just amazing the effort that went into it. But then they've been making saddles and horse tack and that. Yes. On this 34, you have just the basic wooden stock. Well, here's an early war Bakelite stock with these end strengthening caps, because the wood ones, you can see where it sits down here now, that gradually wears away, where the Bakelite would crack and start falling away quicker. So they put these protective end caps, but then to make them more of them and cheaper, they just went to the straight wood. Well, basically this is part of the loading system for the 34. This is basically the world's first universal machine gun. It could be used in a light roll, a heavy roll, and used in lots of different vehicles. The Germans had a really great system. They had a holder. They hold a belt of 50 rounds. The only spring loaded there is to keep all the rounds pushed down tight to the top.
Okay.
So these mount on the side of the gun. They'll have a belt of 50 rounds wound up with a starter tab poking at the top, so they can just load them on. Here, I've got one here that shows you how it mounts on the gun. This point here, it clips on and off, and that's like the feed tray. And of course these drums come in a nifty little holder, which holds two drums, so the guy assisting the machine gunner gets to carry these. The way you can carry two together in the hands, very similar to jerry cans, where you can carry two jerry cans in a hand.
Oh, with the positioning of the handle.
With the handles, yeah, so you can pick them up. And the same with their ammunition cans. Side by side, you can carry two together. The other thing interesting here is aluminium cans at the start of the war, steel at the end, saving all the aluminium for aircraft production and other things. So this kit contains a lot of different things. As you can see, it has the anti-aircraft sight, goes in a little metal holder on the side. Case extractor, a broken case extractor, different spanners, little sulfur container, little cap that goes on the muzzle to stop water and debris to getting in it, little oil can, and then other spanners to strip down the gun or the Lafayette. Also contained in here would have been a spare bolt for the gun. Yeah, basically in the gunner's kits they all have an anti-aircraft sight. That's because the Lafayette tripod comes with an anti-aircraft attachment on it. That's your anti-aircraft sight, spider sight they call them. Well, what we've got here is the MG34 set up in an anti-aircraft roll on the Lafayette. As you can see, it comes with this extension pole that would have been carried by the assistant gunner or the gunner, and there's a mounting point on the tripod that we'll show you later. So mounted like this, you have a 360-degree field of fire. and very easy to move, very easy to aim. There's two places on an MG34 where you can actually mount the bipod or any other attachment for mounting on the weapons. It's the same setup. You both use the same half-moon shaped fitting.
Yep.
So really good idea. You can see how the point of balance is not too bad on this. If it was right at the end, this would be dropping down. So this could also be used in trenches to shoot over the parapet of a trench or over a mound, anything like that. MG34 is the first universal machine gun, and with it came lots of different fittings and attachments. So there's a great little fitting on the Schwimmwagen here, I'll just show you. Basically use the same mounting point as the anti-aircraft gun. And then this nifty little attachment clips up, spins around. You can lock the back of the gun in, that clips in, and you can drive along to your heart's content with your gun set on it, ready to go. Well, that's it. If Indiana Jones is coming up behind you, just release this, hold it out of the way, remount the gun at the rear. It's a major piece of engineering, and it's so good. I can't get it to fold down anymore because I've forgotten how to do it. So,
all right, let's do what we can.
Let's do it. We're going to start here. So basically, it's man portable. It has sling point attachments and they're backrests, so the man carries it on his back and doesn't get all these parts digging into him. Basically, the legs fold across, out like that, and lock into place. These big wing nuts, if you're wearing gloves in the middle of winter, makes life easy. This is a spare bolt box, so you could have a spare bolt there handy if you needed it. Basically go a bit more forward. So field of fire traverse here, so you can lock it into place anywhere along here. That's the lock there, so it can't move. Put it back here, can't move. And if you want to keep it only in a certain spot so you don't shoot into your troops on the other side, you've got these slides that come across on the arc and lock into place so you can't go any further. Fixed limit, so. Wow. And then here's your trigger. Your actual trigger for firing the gun. Basically on here, there's two little mounting points here that correspond with these two lugs on the side of the gun. And then at the front, there's a saddle clip mount that goes across with a spring catch. So basically, have that open, lower the gun in, it clips over, goes in there. And part of this is a fantastic quick change barrel mechanism. The thing about machine guns, you can't overheat the barrels, they'll cook off rounds, and you don't want to wear the barrels out, so you change them regularly if you can. And this is what made it an exceptional gun and could be used in the tanks. The limited amount of room that was needed to change out the barrel. So basically, you just go like that, and pull the barrel out. Clicks back into position. Pushes the release catch, flips over, and you can pull the barrel out.
Ready to go.
Ready to go. Well, what we have here is the actual mount fitting that goes inside the tank for the whole machine gun. So we just mentioned that the MG34 was the best type of machine gun they could use for the tanks, and it was used in just about every tank in the German army, except for the Jag Panzer. In that one, there wasn't enough room to have the actual gun mount, so they used a MG42 in that. This actually mounts to what's called the ball mount that goes in the front of the tank. The gun will mount in here, click into here on the receiver, and then you have a cover for the sight, because these have an optical sight. In the ball mount, you have a big hole that takes the barrel of the gun, and you have a smaller hole that actually is for sighting. And then you have the actual trigger point here. Goes in there, it goes up tight to the back of the gun. Once again, there's those two rounded off points for mounting on the rear of the gun. And then here's your actual trigger. This has seen better days, but they are as rare as the proverbial rocking horse poo. So very hard to find. And this one's, not too bad condition. So we'll restore that and put it in a tank. And then also in the tanks, the ammunition, you don't want the loose bullets going everywhere, so they've got a catcher area, and they have a little sack that hangs down below to catch the spent rounds. They also have a sack that actually has the rounds in them as well. The rounds feed over this roller here.
Wow.
Well, this is an easy one because we don't have anything mounted in here. That's where the gun protrudes from, and that's whether you can use the optical sight. Talking earlier about quick change barrels and that, and to do that you have to have spare barrels. So what we have is a single and a double spare barrel container. So these were just carried by the number 2 of the crew. Spare barrel drops in there, and this is a nifty little double one. This is a relic spare spring carrier, but very hard to find because it's such light metal. So the guns operate on a recoil spring, and this was just a holder for a spare spring. These belts come in a link of 50, and so you could link them together as long as you wanted. It just depends on the drag when you're feeding it. So as you can see, they link together here, and they're held in place by a round. Wind them up like that, they lock into each other, and you just store them. This one here at the front is an early war made of aluminium, a lot lighter. They were thinking about the troops moving and that, but as the war progressed, they had to go to a steel one. This is probably a post-war, but same design was used for, even used today. And the good thing about these cans is that they open up, and it can actually act as a feed tray to stop your rounds getting in the dirt. The rounds can actually lay in the tray like that and be fed into the gun instead of going onto the dirt or the grass and pulling in stuff into the gun. It protects them. Now these boxes hold 5 belts linked together, so a total of 250 rounds that are linked together. In there we showed you the little drum that held 50, well this holds 250. And once again, side-by-side handles, so a bloke can carry 500 rounds in one hand, so 1,000 rounds total in 2 hands.
Oh, that'll give you a good couple of minutes?
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to find out.
Somewhere in Las Vegas, maybe,
Yes.
in the desert.
The Germans used them for everything. And in some of the boxes, they have what's called a belt loading machine, Exhibit A. It fits neatly in the box. They also carried one that would have had 2 oil cans in a box as well. And they also had a armourer's toolkit that went in a box as well. So these boxes were also universal. You could use them for everything. The rounds are dropped into the hopper. The round sits in there, and as you rotate the handle, it gets pushed through the belt, which isn't there at the moment, and then moved across. We've tried this a couple of times, and it's a bit temperamental, so we'll see how we go.
It's not fresh out of the factory.
No, it's been laying around for a few years, so this folds over.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you could do it pretty quick if you were careful.
Oh yeah. No, you pump them out really, really quick. Yeah, you'd load the 50 rounds that you want in this hopper, and you'd load them pretty quick. We just played around. There's other videos that show how it's done, the whole belt. When they're mounted on the tripod, they come with an optical sight. So what we have here is a beautiful optical sight in the original case. As you can see, nice stampings.
Wow.
And these are mounted to the left-hand side of the weapon. In this mount here, it's got a little button stop, goes up against tight, and then you just tighten up the butterfly screw. That's just the elevation. And then you have traverse. Once again, beautiful machining. Absolutely wonderful pieces.
Yeah, magnificent.
I love the MG34. I collect this type of stuff, and it amazes me the amount of bits and pieces that go with it. All the bits and pieces you can still find, the amount of accessories that go with it, it's awesome. Yeah, the MG42 is now the MG3 in the Bundeswehr, And I think Pakistan still uses them as well. We used the MG3s when we got the Leopard tanks. If the Australian Army has one they want to give us,
Oh, that'd be all right.
yeah, wouldn't say no.
Yeah.